Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a valuation expert in St. Louis, Missouri. I have the privilege of interviewing Ben Allen of Allen Forensics today. He's a forensic investigator and certified fraud examiner in Dallas, Texas. And we will be discussing third-party fraud and tips on how to prevent identity fraud in this podcast. Welcome, Ben. When I looked at fraud and when you look at fraud, are there certain types of people that are doing this? Are they, because I know they're looking for the opportunity, but, what can we really do to stop this type of stuff?
That's a very good question. It's also a tough one to answer. First of all, I would say, let's just take it that anybody can perpetrate fraud. Anybody. I went to Firestone to get my car's, my oil change, and I was in front of the guy. He was like, "What's your phone number?" I said, "Can I get a pen and paper? Let me write it down." Why? Because there are a lot of people seated at the waiting area, and I can't just call my phone number. I don't know who is behind me, who's going to be so smart to quickly take it down. And if you go on advancedbackgroundchecks.com, it's free. You put in that phone number, it's going to populate. Of course, I'm not there. I've taken myself out of all the sites. But on a normal day, the regular person's information would have been exposed in that way. So I said, "Can I please have a pen and paper? Let me write my number. I'm not going to call it out." And that's what I did. I'm sure the guy was wondering why. But because I've decided to just say, you know what? Anybody can be a perpetrator of this fraud. Yes, there may be certain demographics of those who are really doing this, but it's not just limited to the confines of the US. We have folks who are in neighboring countries, but you see, it is a network. It's a ring, because they need somebody here in whose accounts the monies will be sent to. They need somebody here who will pick whatever they are able to purchase with the credit cards that they steal. So I just assume it's anybody and everybody. And that kind of helps me to live a life of caution perpetually.
Well, and the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, or ACFE, does like a fraud report every year. And it's always a high percentage. And of course, I don't know the percentage right now, but probably like 70, 80+% of people who perpetrate fraud get caught, and it's their first time getting caught. So these aren't criminals that have, always been out there. Sometimes it's just like you said, if we go back to that fraud triangle, a part of it is you have the opportunity. So, there's money laying on the ground. You have the opportunity to pick it up and keep it for yourself. But now you look around and see, okay, is anybody watching me? Is it, can I get away with it? Can I rationalize, like, maybe God is giving me the money. I'm broke. I needed $50 and look, it appeared. So you rationalize, you say, well, I need it more than that person. And then what's the third one? So that we have the opportunity, the rationalization, and then
pressure.
The what?
The pressure, the motive.
Yeah, the motive. Yeah. And so then you have the motive. And it's fascinating to me because realistically, all of us, especially in a pandemic or especially in a downturn in the economy, could be right on the edge of being able to rationalize all of this. Like, I need to pay my bills. I need to do something. You have too much money. I work for somebody who has too much money. Like, they won't notice if I take a little, those types of things. I don't think people understand. People think that fraud is perpetrated by criminals. And the reality is that is true to some extent, but there's also people that become into that kind of criminal nature just by not being able to provide for their family or something like that. And that's where it gets a little bit difficult.